Hello, welcome to Pirkei Avos with Rabeinu Yonah. We're in chapter 5, Mishnah number 5. Says the Mishnah, Asar Nisim Nasa Levazim V'Zimigdash. There were 10 miracles that were done for our forefathers in the temple. Lo Hipila Isha Merech Basar HaKodesh. A woman never miscarried because of the smell of the good meat that was brought as a sacrifice. V'lo Hisriach Basar HaKodesh Me'olam. The sanctified meat never rotted. V'lo Nira Zvuv V'Besa HaMitbachim. There were never flies found in the butcher's section in the temple. V'lo era keri l'kohen gadol b'yom kippurim. The Kohen Gadol on the night of Yom Kippur never had a seminal emission. V'lo chibu geshamim eish shel atzei maracha. The rain never put out the fire from the altar. V'lo nitzcha haruach as amad he'ashan. The wind never dispersed the smoke from the altar. V'lo nimtza psul ba'omer b'shtei alechem u'b'lechem apanim. There was never a disqualifying feature of the Omer sacrifice, the Shtei Halechem sacrifice, which we just had over Shavuos, we would have had over Shavuos, B'lechem Apanim, and the showbread. Omdib tzefufim umishtachavim revachim v'lo. They would stand packed together in the temple, and then they would bow, and there would still be room. V'lo hizek nachash v'akrav b'Yerushalayim me'olam. A snake or scorpion never damaged, never hurt somebody in Jerusalem ever. V'lo amar adam lechavero, and no one ever said to his friend, Sarli amakom sha'olim b'Yerushalayim. It is too cramped for me to sleep over in Jerusalem. So let's see Rabeinu Yonah, who will explain more of these things. So what does it mean that a woman never miscarried? How did it smell in the temple? Well, you had an altar there, and there was constantly animals being put on the altar, on the fire. So basically, it smelled like a great barbecue. And pregnant women sometimes, when they have a craving, they have to have it or it could be dangerous for the fetus. Ubasar HaKodesh Asar B'Hana. But the animals being burnt on the Mizbeach, on the altar, they're prohibited from getting any enjoyment from them, any benefit. And Hashem guaranteed during that time, He protected the women that they would never have a miscarriage or be hurt because of that. And the meat never rotted. Some of the meat in the temple, some of the sacrifices, they were eaten by the Kohanim for 2 days and 1 night. So you had to leave the meat over for a couple days and it never rotted. The night before Yom Kippur, if the Kohen Gadol, the night before Yom Kippur, would have a seminal emission, he'd be disqualified from doing the Yom Kippur service the next day. So what the Jewish people did was they had a second person in his place to prepare to go in his stead if he should happen to see a seminal emission. And so, Rabeinu Yonah says that, or the Mishnah really says, the Mishnah says that it never happened that a Kohen Gadol had a seminal emission. Now, why did they have a helper Kohen ready just in case it happened? Because you don't rely on a miracle. We don't rely on miracles. There was no flies in the butcher's part, Mishum Kedusha, because of the holiness. There was never a psul in these sacrifices, but the Omer sacrifice is brought from barley. That allows us to eat chadash. And there was never a psul. Certain sacrifices, if you take them out of a certain place, or if you leave them over for a certain time, they'll become puzzle. So that never happened with the Omer. Ubishtei Alechem, it never happened. The Shtei Alechem allows us to bring certain sacrifices. It was never found to be puzzle, never found to be not kosher. That it was never taken outside of the Azar area of the temple. And it wasn't left over, it never left over overnight. And there was never a psul with the showbread. On Shabbos they would set it up. And it was still hot when they took it over, when they took it off at the end of the week. There was never a psul yotzer, psulina, so these things never happened to the showbread, to the Omer, or the Shtei Alechem. And the fire on the Mizbeach was never put out by rain. The altar was outside and there was a fire. And when it rained, It never put out the fire. And the wind would never disperse the fire. Shehaya mitamer va'ola. Omdim tzvufim mishtachim revachim. Haya omdim azar shur shur. So in the azara, the people would stand in rows. Zabetzad zetzvunim, and they were packed. Mishtachim berevach. But when they were standing, they were packed together. When they bowed, they would have room. Shlaya echem mehem dotek chaveru. Who play? It was a miracle. V'lo hizik nachash ve'akrav b'Yerushalayim. When the Jewish people went to Jerusalem in the 3 pilgrimage festivals, you had the entire Jewish people there, and Rabeinu says a snake or a scorpion never hurt anyone during that time. Now, when all the Jewish people went up to Jerusalem, people never said that there's not going to be any space for me to sleep. They didn't say this place is too crowded that I should lodge in Jerusalem. This is what King David said, that Jerusalem that is built up, a city constructed together. Rotzalemer means to say, that when they built Jerusalem, it came out that there was enough room for the entire Jewish people. For them. Because Jerusalem was built for the entire Jewish people to be together. So you can think millions and millions of people going to Jerusalem will be a big traffic jam. There'll be no place for people to sleep, but there was always, for the 3 pilgrimage festivals, there was always places for people to sleep. And with that, we finished the Mishnah and the 10 miracles that happened daily, or happened when we had a temple in Jerusalem. It should speedily be rebuilt in our day.